Hi everybody, Brandon with digiCOACH here. Today I want to take you through one of my favorite features in digiCOACH, and that is our pre-written feedback statements. Now if you haven't tried these out yet, you're missing out. They can be a big time saver, plus they inform a truly unique set of coaching reports. So let's take a look. When you're using digiCOACH, instead of writing feedback from scratch every single time you're in your emails, you can pull from that library of strategies and coaching tips. As I mentioned, that can be a huge time saver. And you know that these practices are quality in content because they are aligned around your best practices and look-fors within your edition. Now, these practices are written as strategies or coaching tips. You might think of them as glows and grows. They're to offer highlights around the instructional practices you saw in place, or offer coaching tips or suggestions around things that teachers might include in future lessons. Some of the editions also have reflective questions infused within there, and you'll find those reflective questions tied into the strategies and coach tips here in the feedback tool. Now on my phone, I've already added a couple strategies and a coaching tips aligned to my look-fors. Elements I've rated observed, or at a higher level, I might offer strategies, and those missed opportunities, I might offer coaching tips to support. Now I mentioned these coaching tips can be used in different ways. For example, you might use them as a sentence starter. You could drop one in quickly and then add some additional notes to personalize it further. That keeps it flexible and still aligned with your own personalized thoughts and reflections that you would like to share with your teacher. Now here's where things get even better. Every time you start using some of these strategies and coaching tips, digiCOACH collectively tracks that data. So not only can you see what's happening in the moment and conversations from previous sessions with teachers, but you also get that data tracked into our coaching reports, informing some campus, district, or subject and grade level wide data. Here in my app, I can see which of these strategies and coach tips have been shared with the teacher, and that information makes its way into our coaching summary and coaching detail reports that allow us to see exactly how often strategies or coaching tips have been shared to support any of our look-fors. And if we dial deeper from the coaching summary into the coaching detail report, we get to see the language of those pre-written strategies and coaching tips that have been shared with our team. Now these strategies and coach tips, they live within the digiCOACH app on the feedback page. So to get there, when you're in a session, tap on feedback to pull up our email. Users using digiCOACH on your computer or tablet can see the library of feedback up top. You can use these gray focus area buttons to narrow your focus and then select a strategy from the list and click insert to add it as part of your email. Over here on my phone, to add a strategy, I want to work on the feedback page by clicking strategies here, narrow my focus to something like interaction, and then maybe offer this strategy here around continuous interactions to keep students engaged. This particular practice has not been shared as indicated by the 0, where these other 3 statements have all been shared with this teacher in the past. I'm going to select continuous interactions, and I'm going to click insert to add that statement into my email. Now I might further personalize that by bringing up my keyboard, and I could also use speech to text here. I appreciated how you invited students to build on each other's strategies as they solved systems of equations. It created a lively and collaborative environment. So I can always personalize my message further later on and go back and adjust that, clean up any of the typos that the speech to text might have gathered. So we really encourage you to use these strategies and coach tips as part of your feedback. Treat them as sentence starters, expand on them and personalize them further with your own thoughts and comments and reflections, and make this part of your coaching data to take advantage of that truly unique piece of the digiCOACH system. If you have questions, you can always reach out. We are here to help. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you again.